Good afternoon and welcome to All Under One Banner's media event following today's march in Glasgow. Tens of thousands of marchers were out today in the pouring rain. Unfortunately, the weather meant that the rally on Glasgow Green had to be cancelled. So we're here at the West Brewery at the Templeton Carpet Factory, just off the green. We're going to have several speakers to hear from shortly. We have the world's media here in attendance, and we look forward to hearing what they all have to say. So stay with us here on Broadcasting Scotland for all the speeches all afternoon. We'll hopefully have some interviews with some of those people as well. So stay tuned. Thanks very much.
Hello everybody, would you like to take your seats? We're going to get this press party started. Let's get this party started, as they say. Would you like to take your seats, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. We have got, so far, we have got 8 speakers for you today. Give us a cheer if you were on the march. Yes. We're going to have a competition to see who leaves the biggest puddle underneath their coat, because I think there was excellent. I think there was 80,000 people. Is that right? 80,000? Excellent. So we're going to get this kicking off right now with our first speaker. So from All Under One Banner, please welcome to the stage Gary Kelly.
Thank you, everybody. What an amazing turnout in Glasgow. The weather did not deter the Scottish independence movement today, did it? 80,000 people in the streets of Glasgow. I'd like to personally thank Glasgow City Council and Police Scotland and Emergency Services for facilitating this event today. And I'm sure we've actually sent Boris Johnson a clear message what the Scottish people actually want. I'll leave that for somebody else.
Thank you, Gary. Short but sweet. What I did want to say is we are asking people to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. If you've prepared 20, then if you could pare it down a bit. And also if you can keep close to the mic, I was told to ask people so that we can pick you up as well. Thank you for that, Gary. Also, this is Helen, I should say, who is signing for us all. And our next up, we're going to have Mohammad Asif from the Afghan Society Scotland Child. Hey.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I think you never heard this anyone beat the weather, but today the Scots have proven that we have beaten the nature and we have beaten the weather here in this country. It's a privilege to be part of this march, and I would like to congratulate the organizers, All Under One Banners. I would like to say briefly a few things. I would like to have a Scotland, because I'm a Scots, and next month will be my 20th anniversary in this country. So thank you for the wonderful welcome. When we stepped into Scotland 20 years ago as a refugees, we were welcome in this country. The Scots welcome us, and still it continues. That shows that Scotland is a very, very compassionate nation. Scotland is a country when hundreds of thousands of Scots were marching against the war in Afghanistan, the imperialist British and American wars, which killed 1.5 million people in Afghanistan for the past 40 years. 1 million people were drowned in their bloodbath in Iraq, again on the basis of lies, and the Scots were dragged into that illegal war. So we want the type of Scotland which is free of nuclear weapons. We want the sort of Scotland which is free of trident. We want the sort of Scotland which is a compassionate country for everyone, not only for the Scots. And the Scots are a very proud nation. You know, this is the climate of fear and hate. And imagine, having Boris Johnson, a mini Trump, running the United Kingdom. And we are going to be dragged into another illegal war, this time probably with Iran. So we want an independent Scotland, a Scotland which caters for everyone, a Scotland which does not involve in illegal wars, a Scotland which care about their citizens, a Scotland which care about their future's generation, a Scotland which cares, not only for Scots, but around the world. And the Scots and Scotland can make this. If you look around smaller countries, they are very successful in the United Kingdom. I think this is about time. This is about time, no matter what happens, that Scotland part company and part this abusive marriage with the United Kingdom. If we are all here today and we were on one, voice that Scotland should depart company, and the Scottish government, which is led by Nicola Sturgeon, should announce very soon a referendum, ND2, and this is about time. This is about time that we do not delay the independence movement anymore. We do not deny the rights of millions of Scots. Imagine 80%. 80% of the Scottish representation in the Westminster is occupied by Scots. And yet they're telling us that you have no power. You have no mandate. What sort of mandate do you want when you see hundreds of thousands of people marching on the streets, telling Boris Johnson, that you are not welcome in this country? What sort of mandate do you want when 62% of the population in this country tell Boris Johnson that we do not want to leave Europe? We would like to be part of Europe, and we would like to be part of a bigger world. So thank you. This is not the end. This is just the start. And our message is to the First Minister that she should have declared an ND-RIF 2 in this year and should not delay it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed, there. Okay, and I just wondered, is Trump, what's the sign for Trump? All right, okay. And is it the same for Boris Johnson? Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so next up, we are going to have Craig Murray. Is Craig here? Craig Murray. You can bring your pint, you're in the right place.
Thank you. The independence of a state is not a question of domestic law. The independence of a state is a question of international law and the position of that state recognized as such by other states and by the United Nations. The Scottish people have the right of self-determination. If we want to be an independent state, we have to recognize that right of self-determination. And if you have the right of self-determination, you do not need the permission of any other state in order to exercise it. We should not be asking London for permission to hold a referendum. We have the right of self-determination in international law, and we can hold a referendum at any time of our choosing, not of Boris Johnson's choosing. Nor can we be denied by any court. The right of self-determination is an inalienable right. You cannot give it away. Westminster is a foreign government. It is not our government. It is a foreign government with which we should have no truck. It is coming time to call back our members of Parliament from Westminster and insert our right of national sovereignty and govern ourselves in our own country. We have a completely different political culture to the culture that prevails in England. We have now seen a Tory government which has been completely rejected by the people of Scotland, elected with an overwhelming mandate by the people in England and Wales. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue to be governed by a people who do not represent us, by a party which is not of our choosing. We wish to have a different kind of state. The United Kingdom state is not a state which abides by international law. It is a rogue state. Scotland has no enemies. We do not wish to make an enemy of Iran. We do not wish to have any more wars in the Middle East. We do not wish to have any more tension with Russia. We do not want a new Cold War. We do not want to have weapons of mass destruction here in Scotland. We want to have our own peaceful, law-abiding, non-imperialist, non-colonial state in which we can build a society which has no billionaires and has no food banks, in which people can work together in an atmosphere of cooperation, in a society which always looks after those who are weakest and less able to look after themselves. And we need now to see action. The time has gone for discussion with Westminster. We will never see a repeat of 2014. In 2014, Westminster agreed to take part in the referendum process purely because none of them believed there was any chance they would lose. When the 2014 referendum was initiated, independence was at 32% in the opinion polls. That's why David Cameron agreed to the process. The United Kingdom government will not give up Scotland with its fantastic mineral resources, its fantastic energy resources, and its fantastic resource as a pool of manpower to maintain the United Kingdom state. The United Kingdom government will not give us independence. We will have to take independence. And if we believe in self-determination, if we actually believe we are a nation, if we believe that we are a people with the right of self-determination, we should not now be asking anybody's permission. We should be going ahead, we should be organising our referendum, we should be withdrawing our MPs from Westminster and getting on immediately with the job of independence. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Craig Murray there. Next up, we're going to have Ian Black from the Scottish Independence Convention. Woohoo!
Hi there. It's good to speak to a Glasgow audience. It's that lovely balance of beautiful with a wee sprinkling of scary, which I always think is one of the most attractive combinations. My name's Ian Black. I'm the Vice Convener of the Scottish Independence Convention. We're the umbrella organisation that's been going since 2005 that has, as part of it, all of the political parties supporting independence in Scotland, so the SNP and the Greens. Large numbers of sectorial groups as well, such as Women for Indie, Pensioners for Indie, the Scottish Independence Convention, English Scots for Yes, a broad range. As well as we've been bringing in the geographic groups in Scotland. So Yes Edinburgh and Lothians are now members, as are the Aberdeen Independence Movement and the Highlands and Islands. And it's so important that we have this overall umbrella organisation. So we have this safe space where we can have conversations, we can talk through, but of course to completely make the point, and repeatedly, that independence is more than one party. And that the actions of one party cannot bring our movement down. Now, of course, as Craig was saying, this is a year for action. So what is the Scottish Independence Convention doing this year? We've got two main campaigns that we're running. The first of those is, well, how do we get a referendum? Of course, the letter's been sent, the letter will be ignored. We're asking a fundamentally undemocratic party to act democratically. Well, that's not going to work, is it? And we know that. So on the 18th of January, the convention's going to meet up in Perth to discuss our strategy for maximum pressure about how we can get a referendum. But of course, there's no point having a referendum if we're not going to win it. So the other thing that we're doing, and we have been for a while now, as you'll see in my T-shirt here, we've started the Voices for Scotland campaign. Over a year ago, we had a fundraiser. We got money from some money which we spent on a brilliant design agency in Glasgow to put together a campaign focused on those undecideds and unsures, and maybe even some of those soft no's, and to have a respectful, open conversation with them. It is our strategy ultimately to do what Bernie Saunders has done and have a big organising model where there is somebody from Voices for Scotland in every postcode in Scotland facilitated and helped and brought together by the organisation. So when I was down a couple of months ago, I had the great pleasure as Vice Convener of the SIC to go down to Wales to speak at the Merthyr Tydfil March, and I see a few of the T-shirts in here. Absolutely amazing event that they had down there, speaking from a couple of floors up to 5,000 beautiful Welsh faces coming back to us. And one of the things that I talked about down there is the difference, the fundamental difference between someone who supports independence in Scotland and someone who doesn't. And we did some work through Heriot-Watt University to examine that, and it just comes down to this one word: confidence. A no supporter up here has less confidence in both in themselves to sort out problems, but also in they have less confidence in fellow Scots to sort out the problems and, of course, take the opportunities that independence will bring. Interestingly, people who are not supporters of Scottish independence are also more risk averse. They're scared of taking a chance. It's not to say that the supporters of independence are crazy, gung-ho, run ahead and get stuck in. We're canny Scots. But we know that we have to take some risk in order to create this country, because we know that what we have at the moment is not good enough and is not as good as it can be. So I'm going to, we had at the end of that march a confidence building thing where I just got everybody to start cheering, and it was absolutely wonderful. We had 5,000 Welsh saying, "Yes, Wales can. Yes, Wales can," and my heart was pumping out my chest listening to it. But we know that that's not the confidence that we need to build in those people who are not yet supporters of us. The confidence we need to build will only be built through conversations. It's only going to be built through conversations with people that you love and you trust and you respect. And it's to happen in those open and safe spaces and happen repeatedly. These are not the conversations where we drive statistics down people's throats because we think that's the way it's to do it. These are the conversations that you have where you come away from them feeling empowered, feeling good, and feeling even more bonded to that person that you've discussed with it. So those are the types of conversations that Voices for Scotland is looking to facilitate. So I have two asks for you today. Will you lend your voice? Will you add your voice to the Voices for Scotland campaign that we're starting in a couple of months' time? It's time to talk. If so, please go to our website, give us your details, speak to your local Yes group, speak to your friends about where you might have organise to have some of these conversations. The other thing I'm going to ask you today is, will you give £5 until Scotland is independent? We're up against a highly powerful, incredibly manipulative, ruthless, and incredibly well-funded opposition. When we can put together the infrastructure to have a campaign like the Bernie Saunders campaign that took a senator that only 3% of America knew about to the most trusted and respected senator and politician in America through this big organizing, when we can put that infrastructure together, we can do something what we can and bring to the campaign that all of their money will never be able to do. And that's bring together the brilliant and diverse Scottish independent movement. Because with all of these people having the conversations, building the confidence of those people about themselves and about Scotland as a nation, then we'll have the confidence we need to win our independence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian Black. And next up, a journalist, writer, campaigner, please welcome to the stage Valentina Cervera. Where is your name? I've written it down, Valentina. Valentina Cervera Carve.
We foreign people have too many surnames, so it's okay. Well, hello, welcome to Glasgow. Yeah, I'm a wee bit short thing. Welcome to sunny Scotland. Often, when I tell people I come from Catalonia, they look at me like if I was mental, like, what are you doing here? And sometimes I ask that question myself too, more when I see my tan vanishing and when I keep getting fatter and fatter because you've got no vegetables in this country. And but a part of me feels like this has always meant to be my place. I came here when I was 18 with no money and everything I owned fitted in a suitcase. And after a few days, I knew I was in the right place. Suddenly, Scotland just became my home. A few months went by and I was addicted to still game. I drank tenants like a Scots, and my beer belly kept growing and growing. And I'm not gonna lie, every time I turn the telly on, I'm like, Boris, come down your way, cheeky ball back. Without even realizing it, I became one of yous, and 2 years have gone by, and I couldn't be more proud of being a Catalan New Scot. My country, as you may know, is also fighting for independence. And I'm here to talk about Scotland today, but I cannot miss the chance to express my solidarity to all the Catalan political prisoners, and especially to Oriol Junqueras. Especially to Oriol Junqueras, who is an MEP, an elected MEP, and still in jail after that shambles of a trial. If we call that justice, I don't know what it was 100 years ago. I mean, in Scotland and Catalonia, we will get independence because we're both fed up of the bigger fish always telling us we have to do. Scotland is big enough, smart enough, rich enough, and to become independent, and we will. I mean, we're a 10 out of 10 when it comes to countries, right? We've got the looks, we've got the personality, the intelligence, and the money. I mean, Scotland doesn't need the UK, just like a woman doesn't need no man. I mean, in Scotland, we're constantly talked down. Every time one of our SNP MPs goes up to talk, people boo, people stand up and walk in the House of Commons. The other day, a lord was homophobic to one of our SNP MPs. Like, come on, people, what more do you need to realize UK doesn't care about Scotland? It doesn't care, and it never will. Doesn't matter how good they lie. I mean, I bet Boris Johnson couldn't even point to Scotland in a map, even if you had to help him out. We're getting dragged out of the EU against our will. And I mean, guys, let's never forget what Jerry Cinnamon said. Tell Westminster Tories that Scotland is no longer their slaves. Soar Alba and Visca Catalunya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you. So we're going to move along. And next up, we have got Gwion Hallam from Welsh Independence Group.
Cheers, thank you. Diolch yn fawr. Yeah, so my name is Gwion. I'm chair of Yes Cymru Caernarfon up in North Wales. I think I might be one of those scary people Ian was mentioning earlier. I haven't slept last night, Ian. So, you know, ask my wife, she's sitting over there. I'm scary if I haven't slept. Thanks for the welcome. But at 3 a.m. this morning in Caernarfon, there were 50 or so bleary-eyed Welsh men and women and some children getting onto a bus. It was free. No, don't clap because we weren't in a good mood then. It was freezing cold. It was black as sin, and we were getting ready to travel to a rainy and windy Glasgow. You know, nothing against Glasgow, but you know, at 3 a.m. in the morning. 12 hours later, boy, are we awake and smiling. So, just thanks for the welcome. Thanks for inspiring us. The problem now for us as Welsh people living in Wales at the moment is that we're not too keen on going back home with the inroads that the Tories made in some constituencies. And there's no one left in Wales. You know, I was so pleased to see so many Welsh people on the rally, on the march today. Many I knew, many I didn't. Many who'd come up on the bus with us, but there was a bus from Merthyr as well. You mentioned Merthyr, and I was there listening to Ian a few months ago. A minibus came up from Merthyr. There were football fans, Welsh football fans for independence here, people in cars, people on trains. because Wales has awoken as well, at last, to the necessity of independence in Wales. You know, I've joked a lot today with people whilst walking, you know, we're hanging on to your tails, and we hope you've got a very long tail, because, you know, we're a fair way behind you. But, considering what's happened over the last year, I think Wales has changed dramatically and very quickly. Wales is seeing that we can't be doing any more with this union. Some of us have always believed that, but as you've experienced, and as you need to experience even more so, there are others, surprising people, coming to the same conclusion. You know, this is an unhealthy, unequal, unworkable union. And unless we get out of it soon, you know, there won't be a Wales. And that sounds dramatic, but especially if you bloody leave us as well, you know. So it's always been unhealthy, of course. It's never really worked. Westminster has never really worked for us countries, colonized countries. But if you want an example of governance that really doesn't work, well, look at Johnson, you know, and let's start calling him Johnson, because he is a Johnson. Let's not call him anything else, especially not Boris. You know, Wales, there are areas of Wales, you know, I'm from Swansea, but I live up in northwest Wales now, and there are areas of Swansea, areas of Carnarvon, where I live now, that are amongst the poorest in Wales. And they should be amongst the most prosperous, regarding the resources, the talents, the creativity that we have. So something has to be done. And independence, as you know, I'm preaching to the converted here, is the answer. The Tories did gain seats in Wales. You know, it broke my heart seeing those results come in. But that will only increase the support for independence. Over the past year or so, Indie Wales has become a serious proposition for so many people, a necessity for others. Membership for Yes Cymru has tripled in the last year. Community, town and country councils have declared their support for independence. We've had our first independent marches, such as yours. Okay, it might not seem much to you, considering there were so many here today, but the first we had 3,000 people. You had a few hundred, apparently, you know, so don't get above yourselves. So, Merthyr, there were 5,000, weren't they in? And then in Carnarvon, 10,000 people came to march on Edward I's castle, Norman Castle, and to reclaim the castle and to drape our flags over it. So things are changing. And an opinion poll in September, 33% of the Welsh people said that they would vote for independence. A leap from 21%. It would have been 41% if that meant staying in Europe. We're getting there. Stay with us. Encourage us. So yes, we will be going back to Wales from here, because Wales is changing and Wales needs us. But we need you as well. So come to our rallies as well. Our next rally is April in Wrexham. April the 12th. Am I right, Idris, Larry? April the 12th. And please come and support us. There are interesting times. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, in the old Burnt Barns Inn, there's a historic and timely meeting. All under one banner Scotland, ourselves as Yes Cymru, and Unity Ireland, yes for Unity Ireland. We're coming together to share ideas, to build bridges, and to think of a way forward. I'm not sure if that's happened before. We've shared things before, we share culture, we share so many things, but for the first time, our grassroots movements are meeting this afternoon to discuss and to move on. Watch out, Westminster. This unhealthy union will crumble. By now, it's not a matter of if, but when. Onwards to a free Scotland, an independent Wales. Ymlaen I Gymru. Diolch yn fawr, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gwion, for that. Thank you. Okay, next up we have John Hunter Patterson from the Scottish Independence Foundation.
How Scottish, here I am. I came along to a march, ended up doing my first ever press conference. Wonderful, isn't it? The Scottish Independence Foundation was formed about 18 months ago to raise funds to back and support all sorts of activities related to Scottish independence. In the past 18 months, we've raised £130,000. In the past 18 months, we've spent £130,000. And the type of thing we've done, supported, yes, East Ayrshire, when they had the wonderful plan to sail the Waverley from Largs down to Campbelltown for an all under one banner march. They required £8,500 for a deposit, and we were only too happy to provide that money. Sadly, the Waverley boilers blew up and the sailing was cancelled. But just imagine that, what a sight that would have been. The Waverley sailing down the Clyde, flags flying, bagpipes going, full of laughter. What a sight that would have been. We do not take expenses. There are only 4 or 5 of us on the committee. We do not take any expenses or any salaries whatsoever. Every pound that comes into the Independence Foundation goes back out. We do not support any political parties. It's only groups and bodies that have good ideas and projects that will advance the cause of independence. But to give money away, we need to get money in. So I'm asking all of you to look at our website, sif.scot, and if you contribute whatever you can on a monthly basis, then we bring that day of independence a lot closer. So we need you, and I'll just finally say a good example of how we work is that All Under One Banner had a slight hiccup prior to the Edinburgh March, and I'm delighted to say that we realised the importance of All Under One Banner to the Scottish independence movement. And we were happy to supply backing for that, one of the most successful marches ever. And we will continue to back anyone that has a good idea that will move independence closer. Thank you.
Thank you, John Hunter Patterson there. Thank you very much. Next up, Tommy Sheridan.
Thanks very much, Viv. Can I...
So we are here with Gary Kelly, one of the organisers of today's march. So Gary, how are you feeling?
A bit wet, but delighted with the turnout today. The passion and desire that we knew was there. That's the reason why we set up the event. But it was definitely delighted to be seen today.
And do we have any word on the turnout for today?
Well, we estimated 80,000. The one we done in Glasgow last year, there was 100,000. So obviously the fact it was slightly smaller on it and the time it took to arrive, that's how we come across with that number.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose there are bound to be a few folk that just felt this weather wasn't for marching in.
I don't blame them, to be honest. I was actually like that this morning myself, because the police were talking about calling it off, the big ones in the control centre, but the ones on the ground were determined to make it go ahead, so I'm delighted it went ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been done in fairly short span of time. I mean, the election was only the middle of December, less than a month since then to get to this point. How difficult has it been to make this happen?
Not really that bad, to be honest with you. Glasgow City Council facilitated this under the terms it was an extremely difficult political circumstances. That's the term that I used. I had the first meeting, it was approved within an hour, the route and basically the rally as such, but obviously the rally we cancelled because public safety.
So what's next then for All Under One Banner? When is the next march, and what are you looking to achieve with All Under One Banner over the rest of 2020?
Well, there's another 7 marches. The next one up is obviously probably the most historically important event ever, the 700th anniversary decoration of Arbroath. We will take masses of people to Arbroath.
And when exactly is that?
I think it's the 4th of April. Yes, the 4th of April it is.
That's brilliant. And where else do you have marches happening this year?
Well, after that we've got Glasgow, then we've got Peebles, then we've got Elgin, then we've got Kirkcaldy, and then back in the capital in Edinburgh.
Brilliant. And if people want to get involved, if people want to help, if people want to do anything related to All Under One Banner, how can they get involved, and what kind of skills are you looking for right now?
Well, in the run up to all these events, we usually hold 2 local meetings to bring in the local groups to try and assist us with even setting up their own events and that carry on, help us getting stewarding teams for the local areas so that way they know the local layout of the land and whatnot. We've been quite successful the last couple of years bringing in all these local teams and they do quite well.
And are you finding the councils and whatnot around these other cities have been as helpful as Glasgow has?
Edinburgh is one of the most accommodating councils. Perth was brilliant last year, and I think Arbroath will be well. Obviously, some places we go to, Tory, Labour councils, they don't treat us the same, even though they've got to apply by the same code of conduct.
Yeah. But you are still soldiering on there. These old marches are all still due to go ahead.
Well, the applications are placed, the dates won't change, the routes may change slightly, but the events are going ahead.
Brilliant. And just finally, what are you, as an independence supporter, how are you feeling about the movement just now? How do you feel about our chances of making things happen this year?
I'm delighted with the movement. They're pulling together when we need to. Yourself with this event today, called emergency event, 80,000 people in Glasgow in this kind of weather. It's fantastic.
Oh. Gary, I think we're just about out of time here. So thank you very much for joining us. Is there anything else you would like to say to the Broadcasting Scotland viewers before we wrap up?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody that turned up today to make an amazing achievement and send Boris a clear message that we want independence.
And do you have any confidence at all that he's listening? If you are watching Boris, what would you say if he's watching right now?
Come up to Glasgow in May and tell us no to Scottish independence. I already sent you an invite for this event today, Boris, and you ignored me.
Well, that invitation does go double. Broadcasting Scotland is always willing to speak to Boris Johnson live on air. We would love to hear his thoughts on independence. So Boris, again, we would join with that, where you can come and debate Gary. You can just talk to me. I'm a very gentle interviewer, as I'm sure Gary would tell you.
Oh, totally.
So if you are willing, Boris, we're always ready to talk. If you are.
But welcome the challenge, Boris.
Brothers and sisters, as Craig again has said, they gave us a referendum in 2014 because they thought we'd no chance of winning. We were sitting at 25 and 30% in the polls. We're not sitting at 25 and 30% any longer. We're sitting at 50 and 55%. Do you think they're going to give us a referendum when the majority are saying they're going to vote for freedom? Of course they won't. They can't afford to give up the supplies of natural gas and oil and land and all the food and beverages that we supply. They can't afford any longer to give up the subsidies, and that's what it is. Please tell your unionists loud and clear when they talk about Scotland's too wee, Scotland's too poor, Scotland's no smart enough. We need England. I've got to inform you. Read the facts, read the figures. Scotland is not subsidised by England. Scotland subsidises England. That's the reality. That's the reality. And we have to ask ourselves, what is democracy? Democracy is not an event. Democracy is not a one-day affair. Democracy is a process. And we accept in 2014, despite all the odds, we went from 30% to 45%. We nearly won, despite all the odds. But we accept that we lost in 2014. What we don't accept is that you give up what you believe is your inalienable right because you lose one vote. We say to all the unionists who say to us, oh, just shut up. Just go back in your box. You lost the vote. We say to them, democracy is a process. And since 2014, there's not been one. There's not been two. There's not been three. There have been 4 national elections, 3 of them UK elections, 1 of them a Scottish election, And in every single one of those 4 elections, the Party of Independence has won in Scotland. That's a democratic reality. We have got, brothers and sisters, to turn round to Mr. Johnson and say loud and clear, listen to what you said 4 weeks ago in the run-up to the December election. You said a vote for Labour, a vote for the SNP, is a vote not just for one, but for 2 referendums. Go and read the material that they put out in Scotland. Go and listen to what Johnson said. He said if anybody votes Labour, if anybody votes SNP, they're voting for 2 referendums, because Labour said that they recognise the right of the Scottish people to decide when the next referendum takes place. Brothers and sisters, the reason that's important is because 45% of Scotland voted SNP. They voted for Indiref too. But 18% of Scotland voted Labour in the recognition that Labour was recognising it was Scotland's right to determine Indiref 2. In other words, we don't have 45% support for Indiref 2. We have 63% support in Scotland for Indiref 2. And that's why we as a democratic movement demand that Johnson and the Tories recognise we have democracy on our side. Brothers and sisters, I'll finish my remarks by applauding All Under One Banner for doing something which is truly remarkable. In the space of less than 4 weeks, in the midst of festive Christmas and New Year celebrations, and despite the absolutely most foul weather you can imagine, you've still managed to bring onto the streets of Glasgow between 80 and 100,000 people, which in equivalent terms would be 800 to 1 million people marching through London. We say loud and clear, we've done our job. SNP, we ask you with our hearts, we've given you our votes, we've given you our confidence. You are not in Westminster to settle down, you're in Westminster to settle up. Let's have Indiref 2 in 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tommy Sheridan. We moved the mic for you. We didn't have to do that there. Okay, so next up from Plaid Cymru, we're going to have Liz Saville-Roberts.
And we're going to start in Welsh. I don't know how this is possibly going to end. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Glasgow, all under one banner. You are an inspiration to us. An inspiration to all of us who've travelled from Wales, who've travelled by bus, by train, by car. We've come through this hideous weather to be with you today. Whatever the weather has thrown at us, we have been with you today. And we've done that. We've done that because we seek the vital spark of inspiration which you mean for us, which you give us. And I know that vital spark, the point of that, here we are in January, the new year, the new decade. That is what is going to light us through the new decade of the 20s, the whole inspiration, this extraordinary decade that faces us, which will be such a decade of change. And the year, of course, you just heard Tommy say, this will be the year of your independence referendum. The referendum that Boris Johnson would seek to deny you. How dare he? How dare he, that callow, shallow, shameless man, how dare he seek to influence, to control the timetable of your nation, of the independence of your nation. And moving ahead now, it is for us, for Wales. Look at this time. I work in Westminster, been working this week, this great change that we're seeing has been brought extraordinarily by Brexit. As we speak today, the Northern Ireland Assembly is reconvening. And what we will see now, And we work, of course, Plaid works with the SNP, with SDLP, with Alliance. We find ourselves talking to the DUP. But all three parliaments of the nations of Ireland and the island of Britain are all working now to make sure that Boris Johnson never gets the opportunity to take our powers back from us. So what I seek from you now, what I seek from you so much, in the inspiration that we need from you to give us the confidence, to give us the hope, to light the way into the decade of the 2020, to light the way of our rallies in Wales. The first one in Wrexham. Believe me, it's nearer than the distance we've come for you. Come to Wrexham on April the 18th. You have been such an inspiration to us. You have given us the means. You have given us the confidence. Take us forward for us, for Yes Cymru. The words that we learnt from you, the confidence, the inspiration, the hope. And hope, believe me, friends, coelwch fi cyfeillion, hope is what tyrants fear the most. It's easy to despair. It's easy to put the blame on somebody else. It's easy always to find somebody else to make the hard decisions for you. But when hope comes forward, the hope of the new generation in Wales, the hope that we have learnt from you, that is what will break us out of the chains that hold us back. And for you, to you, we are eternally grateful. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Liz Saville-Roberts there from Plaid Cymru. Okay, now from Yes Ireland, we have Michael Mclaughlin. Just going to see where he is.
Thank you. All right, folks. My name is Michael Mclaughlin. I'm from grassroots, non-party political, anti-sectarian and peaceful campaign group called Yes for Unity. Firstly, I'd like to say, never underestimate the power and the transformative ideas that's happening here in Scotland now at the minute. We're learning a lot of lessons. We've come over here, we're stewarding at the march today, we're engaging with the organisers, and we want to bring those ideas and the methodology of organising that's happening here in Scotland back to Ireland. We want to bring it back and show people that, listen folks, there's an idea here, there's methodology, there's a way of doing things that can be peaceful and can be transformative. Like what the British Union, the UK Union means to me. Like I'm from a working class nationalist town, Strabane in County Tyrone. A place that was occupied and brutalised for 40 years, abandoned post-conflict, huge prescription drug epidemic, suicides, poverty, zero-hour contracts. That's what the British Union represents to us. Like, London are a gang of gangsters, robber barons. Like, they're like taking the wealth out of working class people's pockets and giving it to those who are already rich and don't need it. Now, we want to use Irish unity as a transformative process. We want to use Irish unity as a way of re-engaging with people, working class communities, about how they want to govern themselves, about giving them their own power, about moving into some 32 county socio-economic framework in Ireland that we can use to smash right-wing ways of thinking, smash austerity, and give control of Irish unity to the Irish people. Want to just use this platform to send out a short message to the political parties back home. Stormont Executive reconvened today. In the entire agreement to bring Stormont back, there's absolutely no mention of the words Irish unity or Irish unity referendum. It's not on their political agenda. But we want to send a clear message to them, that the grassroots are awake, activists are awake, people are having conversations with each other who never spoke to each other before in their lives. There's organising going on. Like, the biggest mistake Sinn Féin, the SDLP, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the Irish political establishment can make is to try and stop momentum towards Irish unity. Now's the time to have the conversation, have the national debate. What's a united Ireland going to look like? How are we going to protect basic working class demands? Now's the time to start that debate in Ireland. Prepare for Irish unity. Prepare the conversation. Don't make the mistakes of Brexit where you rush headlong on it. We need a national debate, and working class interests need to be at the centre of their debate. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael Mclaughlin there. And we have 2 more speakers to go, ladies and gentlemen. So our penultimate speaker will be David Younger from Digital Covenant. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, that's fine. I would like to introduce you to an innovative way of holding a referendum. It's called the Digital Scottish Covenant. It is not yet another petition. It's detailed on our website, which comes live tomorrow, the 12th of January, and signatures can be collected from that time onwards. The purpose of the covenant is to demonstrate in a secure form that cannot be challenged that a number, hopefully a big number of Scots want independence. If we can achieve more than 50% on the covenant, it is a very, very clear message to the central government of Westminster that Scotland intends to take independence. Now, the covenant itself is not connected with any individual political party. We do this deliberately because we don't want to get involved in party politics. We don't want to start having arguments about whether you like the SNP or the Green Party or whatever. It's all about one question and one question only, and that is independence. Now, the covenant will also have no bearing on whatever methods the SNP are adopting to gain another referendum under Section 30. It's got nothing to do with that at all. If the SNP succeed and we have our referendum, all well and good. If they don't, the covenant exists. And the covenant is open for signatures until December the 31st this year. So you have plenty of time to examine it, to go on the website, to ask whatever questions you need, but your vote will be secure. It's enabled by blockchain, and this will be the world's first digital referendum. It is provable, it is legal, and we have a methodology for taking it forward once we reach a majority of signatures. Now, that methodology is set out again on our website, but it does involve taking the matter further. This is not simply a case of collecting signatures, being ignored, and then going on with something else. This is really about saying, if all else fails, we know that we have got a majority for independence. We want to call our MPs back, hold an independence convention, and declare independence. Bring the SNP on board. I'm sure they will come on board, but declare independence. This is the people of Scotland speaking, not a political party, not a political agenda, and we are not working according to the Scotland Act. We're working, as Craig Murray puts it, we're working to the agreement that Scotland has sovereign authority, and we can exercise that sovereign authority, and we do so through the covenant. So I would urge you all, please, to go on the website, have a look at it, ask whatever questions you like. The admin team are always available and always very willing to answer these questions. And if you want to bring up any awkward questions, then we'll answer those too. But we really must get this moving. We must get the impetus for it. We've been handing out information. We've made one attempt at publicising it so far. There are others on the way. We have a full press release package due to go out very shortly. So you will hear much, much more about the digital government as things go on. But I would urge you to get on board now as quickly as possible. We want to gain some momentum to make this thing work and to be able to tell Westminster that we mean business and that this will do the trick. Because it will, I promise you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And our last speakers up, please welcome Wendy, Mcdonald and Kier Mckechnie.
Thank the stewards and hopefully get some press coverage for an amazing job that they did in making sure that folk were able to get to Kelvin Park, to Glasgow Green in one piece. In fact, I'm calling it the first all-under-one-banner swim. That's what it felt like, wasn't it? And it's very important that we understand that the 80,000 people who made it to Glasgow today represent millions. In fact, we already know that tens of thousands were unable to make it today. Last year, around 400,000 people marched across the towns, cities and villages of Scotland. Next year, we hope to take those numbers up into the millions. And we are confident, as all under one banner, that we can do that. And one of the reasons we know we can do it is because we already know there are hundreds of yes groups, yes hubs, trade unionists for yes, NHS for yes, English Scots for yes. There has been a huge growth in grassroots activist groups being set up across Scotland, and that is what is the core of the mobilisations that all under one banner are able to organise. But there's something more fundamental here, which is why our movement has grown, and that is the election of Boris Johnson. And all under one banner would like to take this opportunity to serve notice to the Tory government and to the union that we're not asking for independence from Boris Johnson or indeed from Nicola Sturgeon or the SNP. We're demanding in their F2. It's the Scottish people's right to decide, and we're demanding that that happens this year. And not only are we demanding it, but we are stating very clearly that this notice has been served because we're not willing to put up with another 5 years of Tory austerity. We're not willing to put up with the privatisation of our NHS, and we're not willing to put up with the horrendous hostile environment that this Tory government is pushing on refugees and immigrants. We say refugees are welcome here, and we oppose the racism of Boris Johnson and the Tory party. We're also serving notice on the Trident missiles on the Clyde. We don't want them here, and will mobilise as one of the key reasons for independence to get Trident subs off the Clyde and to use that money and invest it in our schools, our hospitals, and to defend our NHS. We're also serving notice on the climate polluters. We're serving notice that we want a green environment. We want green jobs. We don't want to ruin our environment. We need to save the planet, dare I say it, from these capitalist bastards who are going to destroy it. That's what All Under One Banner represents, and that is what we will be mobilising for. As Wendy quite rightly said, we have a programme next year of 7 demonstrations, and our intent, if we don't get into F2, is that we are serious that we will make Scotland ungovernable until we receive the details of India F2. This is a mass movement. We are not on our own. We're part of a global movement. We've seen the young people taken to the streets across the UK to save the planet. We've seen demonstrations in Chile, Brazil, the Lebanon. We are part of an internationalist movement, and All Under One Banner are proud to be leading that movement. Which is why my final comment is we want to give a plug to the All Under One Banner National Assembly on the 15th of February in Glasgow, where we're inviting the Yes groups, the key groups across Scotland, to come and join us at that conference to discuss the strategy and the tactics to make sure that we end Tory rule in this country and that the Scottish people get the opportunity to have a referendum and finally put the nail in the coffin of the British state. Come and join us, you're welcome, and thanks for your efforts in making this a huge success.
See you in the Thank you very much. I just thank you, all the speakers. Thank you for being here. Big, massive thanks to Helen, who's been amazing. And to, of course, all the marchers. India F2, on you go. Yes.
So sorry about that technical problem there. So we are here with Liz Saville-Roberts from Plaid Cymru. Liz, you spoke earlier about the influence that Scotland can have on the Welsh independence movement. So tell us, first of all, a wee bit about how long you've been involved in the movement and what changes you've seen up to now in that movement.
Well, I've been a member of Plaid Cymru for decades. I was previously a councillor. I'm now honoured to be a member of Parliament. And Plaid Cymru is, of course, is Wales's national party. Now, what is so inspirational about coming to Scotland is to see the different ways of getting people involved, of drawing people into what can be done. And fundamentally, and this is critically important for us in Wales, it's how you raise people's confidence. Now, of course, we are now moving into the second year of the Yes Cymru movement, the big rallies. There were 3 rallies last year, there are 3 rallies prepared again this year. That question of confidence, of how people can take part, how they can feel they can make a difference, how they can ask the questions from those people who will seek to belittle them, who will seek to belittle their hope and optimism for Wales. The way that we can do that, the way we can help each other, but to come here today, to have been with people from Wales who've come in buses, in cars, on trains, this wet January day, that for all of us, it builds us up. It gives us that sense of optimism for ourselves. We'll go back to Wales. We'll be using what we've learnt here, the people that we've talked to today, the connections that we've made. But that fundamental thing, which is what independence is all about to me, it's about the potential of not being dependent on somebody else and being in somebody else's pocket, being in their debt perpetually, being told that you cannot do better. To come here and to hear all these people, these tens of thousands, 80,000 to 100,000 people saying, yes, we can do this in the coldest, darkest month of the year, that fills me with optimism and the light of hope.
Well, I must say, I think for a lot of people here, seeing that so many Welsh people and people from, we've got Germans for Yes and Catalans for Yes, all coming over for several of these marches. Few less this time with such short notice, obviously. But it's that solidarity, I think, is very welcome. And you said something about how hope is what tyrants fear the most, which I think is a really powerful idea. What hopes do you have? I mean, things are looking quite bleak for Britain in a lot of ways right now. What are your hopes in the immediate future and for the longer term?
Forgive 2 cliches. Hope springs eternal, and it is always the night is always darkest before the dawn. This, of course, being a politician and a pragmatic politician, we now find ourselves where we are with Brexit. But with Brexit, the Parliament of Scotland, the people of Scotland, the Parliament of Wales, the Senedd of Wales and the people of Wales. We now, really exciting that Stormont is being reconvened today. That Parliament in Northern Ireland, all those 3 parliaments are under threat from Boris's overweening ambition and his assumption that Westminster has the right to do by the rest of us and to know better than the rest of us. Now, once Johnson and his government start trying to bring back the powers, as they will, from Wales, from Scotland, from the north of Ireland, all those parliaments can work together. The dynamic has changed because of Brexit. And of course in Scotland, the fact that you have this desperate democratic deficit, that you are being ignored in terms of Brexit. Northern Ireland is being ignored in terms of Brexit. From my party, we have always campaigned to remain. I'm delighted that our constituencies voted to remain. But the good of Wales will not be served in any shape or form by this government. And with our voices together and the confidence that we can give each other, we will be so much stronger. And I sincerely hope that what has gradually been decaying, what was held together by our membership of the EU, the United Kingdom, will be seen to be the empty shell that it is, and just the vehicle of Boris Johnson's overweening ambition, which we will not allow him to move ahead with.
Well, Liz Saville-Roberts, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. So that is all we've got for you today. You've heard several wonderful speeches. We've had a couple of great interviews. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to everybody here at West for helping us out, getting in here and having this event at such short notice. Thank you to everyone, obviously, from All Under One Banner who have worked tirelessly to make this happen, as they do with all the marches. And thank you again to you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow for the Full Scottish at 12 as usual. So thanks again. Have a great day.